The siren wailed like a banshee through the quiet streets of Elmwood, Ohio, pulling me from the haze of algebra homework just as Dad's cruiser screeched into our driveway, its lights slicing the dusk like accusatory fingers. "Alex, get out here now!" he bellowed from the porch, his voice cracking not with the usual cop bark but something raw, unraveling, as if the badge on his chest had just turned to lead. I froze at the kitchen window, heart slamming against my ribs, because in his hand he clutched my phone. The one with the photo of me and Jake, lips almost touching under the bleachers. A secret I'd buried deeper than Grandma's old war stories. I bolted to the door anyway, sneakers skidding on the linoleum, because running from Dad was like running from a storm, you just end up soaked. He stood there under the porch light, broad shoulders slumped like he'd carried the weight of the whole precinct home. His blue eyes, usually steel, glistening with something I couldn't name. Mom hovered behind him, her apron twisted in her fists, whispering, "Tom, honey, not like this." But he shoved the phone toward me like it was evidence in a murder trial. "What the hell is this, son? You're." The word hung there, unspoken. A grenade pin pulled, and in that split second, my whole world cracked open, spilling out every hidden glance, every stolen heartbeat I'd guarded since freshman year. That was the night everything shattered, but it wasn't the end. It was the spark. Elmwood was the kind of Midwest town where football Fridays lit up the sky and secrets festered like weeds in cracked sidewalks. I'd grown up idolizing Dad, Tom Harlan, the hero cop who'd busted the meth ring 2 counties over and still coached Little League on weekends. He was all star-spangled grit, quoting Reagan at barbecues and teaching me to shoot straight at the range, his calloused hands steady on mine. Mom, with her soft Tennessee drawl and endless apple pies, balanced him out, the glue in our all-American frame. Me, Alex Harlan, 17, straight-A kid with a fade haircut and a leather jacket from track. I was the perfect son on paper. But beneath it, I was a storm of my own, loving boys in a town that whispered fag, like it was punctuation. It started innocently enough, or so I told myself. Sophomore year, Jake Rivera transferred in from Cleveland, all olive skin and easy grins, with a skateboard tucked under his arm like it was an extension of his soul. He sat next to me in English, doodling band logos on his notebook while Mr. Hargrove droned about the Great Gatsby. "Dude, you're hogging the light," he'd tease, bumping my elbow, and I'd laugh it off, but my pulse would race like I just sprinted a 400-meter. We bonded over late-night texts about indie bands and shitty cafeteria pizza, skating the empty parking lot after school until the street lamps buzzed on. One humid August evening, under the football bleachers where the air smelled of fresh-cut grass and possibility, he leaned in. His breath was minty from gum, his eyes dark pools reflecting the fading sun. "Alex, I've been wanting to," and then our lips met, soft, tentative, electric. It was my first kiss, and it tasted like freedom. But freedom in Elmwood came with chains. Jake was out to his family. His moms ran the local bookstore, rainbow stickers on the windows like quiet defiance, but I wasn't ready. "Not yet," I'd whisper after, pulling back into the shadows of my closet. He got it mostly with that patient smile that made my chest ache. We kept it hidden. Coded emojis in group chats, study sessions that ended in parked cars on Lover's Lane, hands intertwined under the dashboard. It was our bubble, fragile and fierce, until the night Dad found the photo. I'd snapped it impulsively, Jake's profile lit by his phone screen, our faces inches apart in what I thought was a safe delete. But tech betrays, and so did I, forgetting to empty the trash. Dad's face in the porch light. God, I'll never unsee it. The man who'd stared down armed suspects without flinching now looked like a kid lost in the woods. "Son," he said finally, voice gravelly, "we're Harlans. We face shit head-on. But this ain't what I raised you for." The words landed like punches, each one bruising deeper than the last. Mom stepped forward, her hand on his arm, eyes pleading with me to run inside, but I stood rooted, tears hot on my cheeks. "Dad, it's me. It's always been me." He turned away then, slamming the screen door so hard the hinges groaned, leaving me in the yard with the crickets in different chorus. Inside, the house felt like a crime scene. Mom brewed chamomile tea nobody drank, her southern lilt wrapping apologies around the silence. "He's scared, baby. For you. This town's got teeth." Dad holed up in his den, the door locked, the faint clink of whiskey glasses echoing like accusations. I texted Jake, "Found out. Bad." His reply was a flood of hearts and "I'm coming over," but I shut it down. Not safe. Sleep evaded me that night, the ceiling fan whirring accusations. Liar, coward, freak. By dawn, resolve hardened in my gut. No more hiding. School was Monday, game on. Monday morning hit like a freight train. Elmwood High's halls buzzed with pre-bell chaos. Lockers slamming, gossip swirling like autumn leaves. I spotted Jake by his locker, his dark hair tousled, eyes scanning for me. We locked gazes across the throng, a silent promise passing between us. But before I could weave through, Brody Klein, captain of the football team, all-American asshole with a jaw like a brick, shoved me into the wall. "Heard you got a little secret, Harlan?" he sneered, his buddies snickering like hyenas. Word traveled fast in our fishbowl town. Someone must have overheard the sirens, pieced it together. "Ferry boy now, huh? Dad know his boy's a pansy." I shoved back, adrenaline surging. "Mind your own, Brody." But he laughed, loud and cruel, drawing eyes. "Oh, he knows. Whole precinct's buzzing. Bet he wishes he had a real son." The bell rang, saving me, but the damage was done. Whispers trailed me to homeroom like smoke. Jake caught up in the stairwell, pulling me into a shadowed corner. "Alex, talk to me. Your dad." I cut him off with a fierce kiss, desperate for the anchor of his touch. "He'll come around. But school, they're gonna eat me alive." He cupped my face, thumb brushing my lip. "Then we fight. Together." Classes blurred into a gauntlet. Notes passed with slurs, stares like daggers. Lunch was worst, the jocks' table erupting in chants. "Harlan's a homo," until Principal Yates broke it up, his face a mask of forced neutrality. I ate alone in the bathroom stall, phone buzzing with Mom's texts. "Dad's at work. Call if you need." But pride kept me silent. After school, track practice loomed. My escape, pounding the rubber oval until lungs burned clean. Coach Ramirez eyed me warily as I laced up. "Heard the rumors, Harlan. You good?" I nodded, lies tasting bitter, and hit the line. The gun cracked, and I flew, spikes chewing track, wind whipping tears. Lap after lap, I outran the whispers, the fear, Brody's sneer. Jake waited at the finish, water bottle extended, his presence a bomb. "You're a beast," he murmured, fingers lingering on mine. We walked to his car, the lot emptying under a bruised sky. "Come over?" Mom's made tamales. Temptation tugged, but duty called. "Gotta face the lion's den." He kissed my forehead. "Text me everything." Home was a minefield. Dad's cruiser was in the drive, early for him. Mom met me at the door, flour dusted from biscuits, her hug fierce. "He's in the kitchen. Be gentle." I nodded, steeling myself, and stepped in. Dad sat at the table, uniform half unbuttoned, coffee steaming untouched. Our eyes met, his weary, mine defiant. "Sit," he grunted. I did, the chair scraping like bones. Silence stretched, thick as fog. Then, "That boy in the picture, Jake? He the one?" I swallowed. "Yeah." A nod. Slow. "All right, tell me about him." I poured out then, the laughs, the kisses, the terror of losing him, of losing us. Dad listened, fingers drumming the mug, jaw tight. When I finished, he leaned back, exhaling like a deflating tire. "Alex, I ain't gonna lie. This blindsided me. Raised you to be strong, straight shooting, like me. But life's got curves I never saw coming." His voice cracked. "I love you, son. More than the badge, more than this damn town. But folks out there, they'll test you." Tears welled in his eyes. Dad, crying. "We face it together. Harlan's don't run." Relief crashed over me like a wave, but it was laced with doubt. "You mean it?" He pulled me into a bear hug, cologne and gun oil enveloping me. Cross my heart. But school's another beast. Heard the chatter on the scanner. Kids talking shit. Mom slipped in, joining the huddle, her hand on my back. For the first time, the kitchen felt like sanctuary. Tuesday dawned with fragile hope. Jake and I met before first bell, hands brushing in the crowd. He cool. I grinned, real for once. Better than cool. He's in. Jake's whoop drew stares, but we didn't care. In English, Mr. Hargrove announced a group project. Fate's cruel joke pairing me with Brody. On diversity in lit, he said, oblivious. Brody's glare could curdle milk, but I met it square. Let's make it good, I said, voice steady. He muttered, freak. But there was a flicker. Uncertainty? The week escalated. Whispers turned to shoves. Graffiti bloomed on my locker. Queer cop's kid. Jake became my shield, arms slung casual around my shoulders in the halls, daring anyone to comment. His moms invited Dad for dinner Friday. Awkward at first, all stiff handshakes and small talk over empanadas. But by dessert, Dad was laughing at their stories of pride parades in Cleveland. Never thought I'd say this, he admitted. But y'all got spine. Alex is lucky. But betrayal lurked. Saturday, Jake and I snuck to the quarry, skipping stones into the glassy water, dreams spilling out. College together, NYU maybe. No hiding. His kiss deepened the promise. Sunday, church with the family. Pastor Ellis's sermon on traditional values felt like thorns. Dad shifted beside me, gripped tight on the pew. Monday brought the storm. Assembly in the gym. Anti-bullying talk, ironic as hell. Brody cornered me post-bell, cronies flanking. Your old man's soft now, huh? Protecting his little fairy. Fist clenched, I swung. Missed, but the scuffle drew blood, his nose trickling red. Security hauled us to Yates's office. Suspended, both. Jake waited outside, furious. This town's poison. Dad picked me up, silent drive home. Proud you stood up, he said finally. But violence ain't the Harlan way. That night, over meatloaf, he dropped the bomb. I'm going to the principal tomorrow. This stops. Mom beamed. I gaped. Dad, it'll make you a target. He shrugged. Already am. For you. The unexpected hit Tuesday. Dad strode into school at lunch. Uniform starched, badge gleaming, Yates trailing like a puppy. The cafeteria hushed as he took the mic uninvited. Rumor mill had primed them. Elmwood, he boomed, voice carrying like a patrol call. I'm Tom Harlan, Alex's dad, cop for 20 years. Seen darkness. Drunks, dealers, hate that twists good people. Pauses hung heavy. My son's gay, different from me but braver. You'll been whispering, shoving, breaking him down. That ends today. Gasps rippled. Brody paled at his table. I'm here to say, love him like your own. Or face me. Not a threat, a vow. Cheers erupted. Hesitant then thunderous. Jake's whoop piercing through. Tears stung as Dad pulled me on stage, arm around my shoulders. This is my boy. Who's with us? The gym exploded. Rainbows from nowhere, hugs from unlikely faces. Even Brody hung back, head down, a crack in his armor. In the aftermath, ripples spread. Jake and I walked halls hand in hand, unchallenged. Dad became unlikely ally, guest speaking at GSA meetings, his gruff tales of integrity winning skeptics. Betrayal? It came soft, from Pastor Ellis, who cornered Dad post-church. Tom, this path, it's sin. Dad's reply, love's no sin, Reverend. Hiding is. Ellis slunk away, congregation shifting. Climax brewed at homecoming. Float-building frenzy, Jake and I painting murals of unity. Brody approached, awkward. Harlan, sorry. My uncle's like you, closeted. Scared me. Forgiveness tasted sweet. We shook. Tentative brothers dance night. Under twinkling lights, Dad clapped Jake's back. Treat him right, kid. We swayed to indie rock, world fading. But shadows lingered. Winter hit, rumors of a hate group, kids from rival school, egged by online trolls. Threats scrawled, burn the ferry. Dad patrolled extra, cruiser idling by my window. One snowy night, rocks shattered it, glass shards like accusations. Jake rushed over, holding me amid the chaos. "We're okay," he lied, voice trembling. Dad burst in, gun drawn, but it was just punks fleeing shadows. The real storm. Spring formal. Jake's ex from Cleveland transferred, Ethan. All charm and hidden venom. Jealousy festered. He whispered to Brody's crew, twisting my coming out into seduction scandal. Lies spread. I tricked Jake. Cafeteria confrontation. Ethan smirking. Harlan's a predator. I froze. Jake defended, but doubt seeded. Betrayal peaked Friday. After practice, locker room empty, Ethan cornered Jake alone. "He's using you for the cop dad's clout." Lies poisoned. Jake pulled back that night, texts cold. Need space. Heart shredded. I confronted Ethan Monday, fists flew, but Dad's words echoed. No violence. Instead, truth. Hurt people hurt, but love wins. Jake returned Tuesday, eyes red. Believed him for a minute. Stupid. We rebuilt, stronger, vowing transparency. Climax at assembly. Dad again, but with Jake's moms, sharing stories of resilience. Ethan slunk out, exposed. School shifted. Ally clubs boomed. Murals permanent. Summer bloomed romance. Corey picnics, Jake's head on my lap. Dreams of futures. Dad taught him to shoot. Protect what's yours. Bonding over burgers. Mom planned college visits, her pride radiant. Fall NYU acceptances, both in. Elmwood send-off party, town square. Banners waving. Dad's toast. Alex taught me different ain't lesser. It's light. Hugs all around, even Brody, now GSA Veep. Yet humanism's edge. Not all healed. Pastor Ellis left. Church split. Some families moved. Whispers lingered. But in our core, growth rooted deep. Jake and I drove east at dawn. Rear view fading Elmwood spires. "Ready?" he asked. "Born ready," I said, hand in his. Life's no fairy tale, curves still. But Dad's reaction shook us all awake. In America's heartland, one family's truth rippled, proving love's the strongest badge. As the highway unspooled beneath our tires, New York's skyline a distant promise on the horizon. I couldn't shake the ghosts of Elmwood clinging like morning dew. Jake's hand rested on my thigh, steady as the engine's hum, but my mind replayed Dad's assembly speech on loop. The way his voice had trembled not from fear, but from the raw edge of vulnerability he'd never shown before. "You think they'll throw parades for us in the city?" Jake teased, his profile sharp against the passing cornfields. A half smile chasing the tension from his lips. I squeezed his fingers. "Nah, but maybe a coffee shop with rainbow lattes." Laughter bubbled up, light and freeing. But beneath it lurked the ache of what we'd left behind, and what we carried forward. College hit like a fever dream. NYU's Washington Square campus buzzed with a kaleidoscope of faces, accents clashing like cymbals, and for the first time, holding Jake's hand didn't feel like defusing a bomb. We crashed in a shoebox dorm, posters of the National taped crooked on cinderblock walls, nights dissolving into whispered confessions over low main takeout. "Remember the quarry?" he'd murmur, tracing patterns on my arm. I'd nod, pulling him closer, the memory a tether to simpler rebellions. Classes challenged, my poli-sci prof dissecting identity politics with the precision of a surgeon. Jake diving into film theory, editing shorts that captured our story in grainy vignettes. But home tugged relentless. Thanksgiving loomed, Elmwood's siren call. Dad's emails were terse updates. Patrols quiet. Mom's pies on deck. Bring the boy. Jake tensed at the mention. Your dad's cool now, but Ethan's poison lingers. What if he stirs shit? Ethan had vanished post-scandal. Rumor had it back to Cleveland with a slap on the wrist from his trust fund folks. But grudges don't dissolve easy. I waved it off. Dad's got our backs. Always. The drive back was a time warp, billboards for Apple festivals, radio swapping indie for country twang. Mom enveloped us at the door. Flowery hugs and "Y'all look starved." Dad clapped Jake's shoulder harder than necessary, eyes appraising. Heard you aced that script class. Good man. Dinner was a minefield of normalcy. Turkey carved with Dad's pocket knife, Mom's cornbread steaming, stories of precinct pranks. But under the table, Jake's knee bounced, betraying the calm. Betrayal slithered in Saturday, football game night. Elmwood versus rivals, stands packed with flannel and foam fingers. We sat midsection, Jake's arm casual around me, until a shadow fell. Brody, beer in hand despite age, grinned too wide. Harlan's, city slickers now. Huh. Hugs exchanged, but his eyes flicked to Jake, sly. Heard Ethan's back in town, talking smack at the diner. My gut twisted. What kind? Brody shrugged, too casual. Old news. Says you two are faking it for attention. Cop Dad's fame or whatever. Jake stiffened. I forced a laugh. Ethan's a ghost. Let him haunt. But seeds planted. Post-game bonfire. Flames licking the chill. Locals clustered. Pastor Ellis's replacement, a wiry guy named Reverend Tate, sidled up, Bible tucked under arm. Tom, Alex, blessings. Heard you're thriving. But remember, the world's not as forgiving as these lights. Dad's jaw set. World's what we make it, Reverend. Jake pulled away early, claiming headache. In the truck, silence festered. He's right, he muttered finally. Ethan's stirring. And Brody, did you see how he looked at me? Like I'm the outsider. I gripped the wheel. You're not. We're solid. But doubt crept. A chill whined through the cab. Sunday brunch at the bookstore. Jake's mom's fussing over quiches, rainbow mugs steaming. Spill, Lena said, her silver-streaked hair catching the light. We did, Ethan's shadow looming. Rosa, ever the firebrand, slammed her fist. That boy's trouble. We'll handle. But Jake's phone buzzed mid-bite. Unknown number. Miss you. Truth hurts. He deleted it, face ashen, but the crack widened. Monday, Dad cornered me in the garage, oil-stained rags in hand. Something's off with the kid. Spill. I hesitated, Jake's mind to protect, then unloaded. Dad wiped his brow, sighing. Betrayal's a blade, son. Cuts deepest from those who know where to aim. But you two, fight for it. His hug was brief, gruff. I got your 6. The storm broke Tuesday. Jake vanished after class. Texts unanswered, calls to voicemail. Panic clawed. I raced to the quarry, our spot, but empty. Dad's cruiser idled outside when I burst home. He's with Ethan, he said flatly, scanner crackling low. Diner sighting. Go. Heart in throat. I floored Mom's old sedan, gravel spitting. The diner glowed neon, a relic of chrome and checkered floors. Through the window, Jake in a booth, Ethan across, heads bent close. Laughter sharp, false. I stormed in, bell jangling like alarm. Jake! Heads turned. Ethan smirked, sliding a milkshake Jake's way. Joining the party, Harlan? Jake's eyes widened, guilt flashing. Alex, it's not. But Ethan cut in, voice oily. Just catching up. Telling him how you used me back in sophomore year. Before you found your cop prints. Lies, venomous. Jake flushed. Shut up, Ethan. I came to tell you off. But the damage, his hesitation earlier, the space he'd needed, hung heavy. I grabbed Jake's arm. Outside. Now. The lot was crisp, stars pricking the black. What the hell? He yanked free, tears glinting. He texted, said he had proof. Photos from before us, twisted. I had to see. Betrayal stung, not from Ethan, but Jake's doubt. You believed him? After everything. He crumpled against the car. For a second. I'm scared. Alex. This town chews us up. We drove in silence. My knuckles white. Home. Mom brewed cocoa. Dad waited on the porch, arms crossed. Jake spilled it all, voice breaking. Dad listened. Then, son, both of you, fear's the real enemy. Ethan's playing it like a con. But cons crumble under light. He pulled out his phone. Gonna pay a visit. Dawn patrol. Dad at Ethan's folks' door, uniform crisp, voice level. Ma'am, your boy's harassing mine. Charges pending if it don't stop. Ethan paled in the doorway, bluster gone. By noon, apology texts flooded. Ethan's, tearful, from a greyhound to parts unknown. Jake and I rebuilt on the wreckage. Long talks by the fire pit, vulnerabilities bared like offerings. I choose you, he whispered one night, lips brushing mine under the quilt. Romance rekindled, deeper, forged in fire. Christmas brought healing. Tree lights twinkling. Dad gifting Jake a precinct keychain. For the family now. Mom's carols filled the house, her hand squeezing mine during midnight mass. Tate's sermon on grace hitting different. New Year's, Corey countdown. Jake's kiss at stroke of 12, fireworks blooming overhead. To us, we toasted with stolen champagne. Spring semester beckoned, but Elmwood's pull softened. Dad visited campus, touring with awkward pride, badge turning heads. Bigger than Ohio, he marveled, but his grin said home was heart. Jake's short film premiered, our story, veiled in metaphor. A cop's son skating shadows into light. Applause thundered. Tears flowed. Yet conflict simmered. Summer internship. Dad pulled strings for me at the precinct, desk duty filing reports. Jake waitressed at the diner, charmed disarming holdouts. One shift, Brody dropped in, now community college, majoring in social work. Ethan called me last week. Apologized proper. Said your dad saved him from himself. Laughter shared. Old wounds scarred over. Climax brewed in July heat. Town festival, carnival lights, Ferris wheel creaking. Jake and I manned the GSA booth, rainbow pins glinting. Whispers from the old guard. Harlan's ruining values. Then, Reverend Tate approached, face stern. Tom's speech last year stirred hearts, but now? Petitions circulating. School board wants GSA cut. Betrayal anew, from the flock Dad once led. Dad rallied that night, kitchen war room. We fight clean. Letters, meetings. Jake's mom's drafted petitions. Brody canvassed. I spoke at council, voice steady. Dad's lessons echoing. Different built this country. Don't tear it down. Cheers swelled, but tension coiled. The board meeting. Stuffy hall, air thick with agendas. Opponents droned, Ellis back as proxy, Bible thumping. Our turn. Dad rose, badge off, just a father. I chased shadows 20 years. Thought I knew dark. But hate's the real thief. Steals kids' light. Pause, eyes sweeping. Alex showed me love's brighter. Keep the club. Or lose more than votes. Silence, then applause, thunderous. Motion passed 5-4. Aftermath. Hugs in the lot. Tate nodding respect. You shook us, Tom. Home. Beer cracked. Jake toasting. To unexpected allies. Romance bloomed wild. Stolen weekends in Cleveland. Pride marching hand in hand. Confetti rain. Fall return. NYU sharper. Love's deeper. Dad's letters. Quiet shifts. Missed the noise. Jake proposed a road trip, cross-country, chasing horizons. We did. Canyons to coasts. His head on my shoulder at diners. Dreams vast. But humanism whispers. Not every story ties neat. Ethan resurfaced once, sober, seeking amends via letter. Forgiven, not forgotten. Brody thrived, mentoring. Dad aged, silver threading his hair, but prouder. Graduation. Caps airborne, Jake's ring on my finger. Simple band, promise etched. Dad's hug crushed. You did it, son. Shook the world a bit. Drive home, Elmwood waiting. Not chains but roots. In America's weave, one reaction rippled. Proving difference isn't divide, but the spark that lights us all. The salt air of the Pacific clung to our skin like a lover's whisper as Jake and I crested the final hill into Big Sur. The highway curving like a ribbon through cliffs that plunged into turquoise fury. It was our post-grad gift to each other. A week of coastal wandering, no clocks, just the roar of waves and the hum of our rented Jeep. Pull over, Jake said suddenly, pointing to a overlook where the sun dipped low, painting the ocean in strokes of molten gold. We scrambled out, blankets spread on the scrub, his body warm against mine as we watched the horizon swallow the light. "This is us now," he murmured, fingers interlacing with mine. "No more hiding in quarries." I kissed his temple, tasting salt and freedom, but even in paradise, Elmwood's echoes stirred. A faint unease, like thunder on a clear day. Back east, life accelerated. I landed a gig at a Brooklyn nonprofit, advocating for queer youth in the heartland. Ironic justice for the boy who'd once cowered in bathroom stalls. Jake dove into indie film, his first short snagging festival buzz. A raw tale of a cop's reckoning, thinly veiled nod to dad. We scraped by in a walk-up with leaky faucets and roaches as roommates. But nights on the fire escape, city lights sprawling below, felt like victory. Phone calls home anchored us. Mom's recipes texted in bursts, Dad's gruff updates on rookies who needed Harlan's spine. Summer reunion hit hard. Elmwood's annual fair, cotton candy clouds, midway lights flickering like fireflies. We rolled in Friday, Jake's hand in mine drawing the usual mix. Smiles from allies, narrowed eyes from stragglers. Dad met us at the gate, bear hug enveloping, his uniform swapped for a faded police academy tee. "About time you slackers showed." Mom pressed pie tins into our arms, her laugh lines deeper but eyes brighter. Dinner was chaos. Backyard grill, neighbors drifting over, Brody now with a toddler on his hip, wife beaming. "Social work's kicking my ass," he admitted over beers. "But kids like you changed the game." Betrayal's ghost resurfaced Sunday, church potluck. Reverend Tate waved us over, plate heaped with deviled eggs, but his companion, Ellis, returned like a bad penny, interim pastor gig after Tate's sabbatical. "Alex, Jacob," Ellis greeted, smile thin as communion wafer. "Heard of your film. Provocative." Jake tensed. I forced casual. "Thanks. Truth's messy." Ellis leaned in, voice low. "Messy enough to divide." Some say Tom's leniency cost the department. Morale dip, they whisper. Lies, barbed. Dad, overhearing, set his fork down hard. "Morale's fine, John. Folks respect backbone. Try growing some." The seed festered. Monday, Dad's shift. Routine traffic stop turns ugly. Drunk driver, out-of-towner with a Confederate flag decal, slurring slurs when cuffed. "Heard your boy's a queer. Soft like you now, pig." Dad radioed calm, but the struggle left bruises. A sprained wrist. Home, ice pack pressed, he waved off worry. Part of the job. But Ellis, he's been chatting up the chief. Planting doubts. Jake's jaw clenched. Classic. Hit where it hurts. I paced the kitchen, rage simmering. We fight back. Dad's eyes, weary but steel, met mine. Quietly. Show him strength. Not fists. Plan hatched. Community forum. Dad speaking on protection, not politics. Jake filmed teasers, I drafted invites. Elmwood buzzed. Flyers on poles, social media pinging. Climax brewed midweek. Chief called Dad in, door closed. We waited at home, Mom baking anxiety into snickerdoodles. 2 hours later, he emerged. Face thunderous, envelope in hand. Reprimand. For the stop, excessive force, they claim. Ellis testified. Twisted words. Betrayal raw from the pulpit to the badge. Jake exploded. "That snake. We expose him." Dad held up a hand. "No. We rise above." Forum night. Town hall packed. Air electric. Tate moderated. Fair but firm. Opponents first. Ellis, silver-tongued, quoting scripture on order disrupted by deviance. Murmurs swelled. My stomach nodded. Jake squeezed my hand under the table. Then Dad. Mic in grip, voice steady as a siren's wail. 25 years. I've served this town. Busted rings. Saved lives. Raised a son who's gay and goddamn good. Gasps, but he pressed. Ellis calls it disruption. I call it evolution. My Alex, he's why I fight for every kid scared in shadows. Reprimand me? Fine. But silence hate? Never. Applause crashed wave after wave. Jake's camera caught it all. Tears on cheeks. Nods from skeptics. Ellis slunk out mid-clap, face ashen. Post-forum, handshakes flowed. Even Chief pulled Dad aside, muttering apologies. Overstepped. Badges yours. Afterglow, bonfire at the quarry, just us four: Mom, Dad, Jake, me. Marshmallows charred, stories spun. You shook him again, old man, I teased. Dad chuckled, arm around Mom. Nah, you did, kid. From day one. Jake leaned into me. Whisper hot. Proud of your fire. Later, in the guest room, his touch mapped familiar paths. Romance a quiet blaze. No rush, just us, breaths sinking like heartbeats. Fall deep in bonds. Dad visited Brooklyn, navigating subways with cop squint, marveling at bagels, better than Mom's. We toured sets with Jake, Dad critiquing realism gruffly. Mom FaceTimed recipes, her garden bounty shipped overnight. But conflict lingered. Ellis's faction splintered the church, Tate walking a tightrope. Winter brought the turn. Christmas Eve blizzard stranded us homebound. Power flickered. We huddled by the hearth. Dad reading "'Twas the Night Before" like when I was 5, voice rumbling low. Jake added flair, dramatic pauses drawing laughs. Midnight mass. Tate's homily on redemption, eyes on Dad. Some return wiser. Others wander lost. Subtle nod. Ellis gone, new parish far off. New Year's. Jake and I slipped away to the roof. Snow blanketing Elmwood soft. Marry me? He asked. Ring glinting simple gold. Engraved shook the world. Tears froze on lashes. Yes. Choked out. Dawn call to parents. Squeals from Mom. Dad's gruff, about damn time. Spring wedding planning. Small backyard affair. Invites wing to allies. Brody RSVP'd with fam. Rosa and Lena officiating tandem. But betrayals echo. Anonymous letter to Dad. Your son's parade mocks God. Watch your back. Threat veiled but real. Dad upped patrols. Jake insisted security. Not letting fear win. Ceremony day. June sun gilding the yard. Chairs in rows under oaks. I waited at the arch, heart pounding. Dad beside in tux. His first, starched awkward. Nervous, he murmured. Terrified. Grin flashed. Good. Means it's real. Jake appeared. Path lined with petals. Eyes locked on mine, vows traded. Simple. In shadows and light, I choose you. Rings slid. Kiss sealed. Cheers erupted. Reception. Picnic tables groaning. Band playing Springsteen. Dad's toast. Jake, your family. Alex, you taught this old cop heart over badge. To love that shakes foundations. Glasses clinked. Tears flowed. Dance floor spun. Mom twirling Jake. Dad and I slow stepping to oldies. His whisper, proudest day. Honeymoon. Quick jaunt to Niagara. Fall's thundering approval. Nights tangled in linens. Days hiking mist-shrouded trails. Forever starts now, Jake said, mist beating his lashes. Return, Brooklyn sharper, married glow sustaining. Dad retired partial, consulting gigs affording visits. Mom's empty nest filled with grandpuppy dreams. But humanism tempers joy, letters from queer kids in small towns, inspired by our ripple. Jake's docu-series greenlit, unexpected, a cop's reckoning. 1-year mark, Elmwood reunion, fair again. Stands fuller, rainbows woven in. Dad on mic, unscripted, life's plot twists. Mine, best one. Jake and I, hands linked, nodded shaken, but standing. In America's tapestry, threads of difference weave strongest, human, flawed, luminous. The gavel cracked like a starter pistol in the emptying Brooklyn courtroom, and I exhaled a breath I hadn't known I was holding, the echo of my closing argument still vibrating in my chest. It was my first big win, pro bono, a transgender teen from upstate suing her school for dead naming in records. The judges ruling a quiet revolution etched in legalese. Jake waited in the hall, his director's beret tilted rakish, a bouquet of daisies. My favorite, wild and unpretentious, thrust forward with a grin that lit the marble corridors. You slayed, counselor. His kiss was quick, conspiratorial, mindful of the bailiff's raised brow. but it grounded me, a reminder that victories were sweeter shared. "Drinks on me," he said, arms slinging my shoulders as we spilled onto the avenue, horns blaring a chaotic symphony. Yet even in triumph, a shadow nipped at my heels. Dad's latest call, voice edged with fatigue. Town's heating up again. Festival drama. We toasted at our corner pub, amber Alish foaming, the bar's rainbow flag limp in the AC's breath. Jake's docu-series had dropped last month. Shook. One Family Stand. Streaming on PBS. Interviews with us. Dad's gravelly candor. Even Brody's redemption arc reviews glowed. A humanistic gut punch. One critic wrote, proving America's heart beats queer. But backlash brewed online. Trolls doxing. Petitions to cancel cop enablers. "Your old man holding?" Jake asked, lime twisting in his glass. I nodded, but doubt flickered. "He's tough. But Elmwood, it forgets slow." Flight home was turbulence literal and not. Storms over the Appalachians mirroring the one brewing in my gut. Mom picked us up at the regional, her station wagon sagging under grocery hauls, hugs fierce as ever. "Y'all skin and bones. City eatin' you alive?" Dad waited on the porch, coffee mug steaming. His limp more pronounced from an old knee tweak, but eyes sharp. "Heard about the case. Kicking ass, boys." Jake fist bumped. I searched his face. Lines deeper, but resolve iron. Dinner unpacked it. Festival committee ousting the GSA booth, citing family values. Ellis's hand, ghostwriting motions from his exile. "Same old him," Dad grunted, fork spearing potatoes. "But now it's personal. Your film put us on map. Some love it. Others spit." Jake's jaw set. "We screen it there. Show 'em the human side." Mom's eyes lit. "Brilliant. I'll bake for the crowd." Planning ignited like dry tinder. Dad booked the VFW hall, neutral ground, American flags draping walls like reluctant witnesses. Invites blasted. Locals, press from Columbus, queer allies from afar. Jake edited a town-tailored cut, softer edges. Dad's narration underscoring unity. I scripted Q&A, bracing for barbs. Betrayal struck sly. Week of anonymous emails to Dad, "Your Hollywood traitors mock us. Resign or regret." Chief waved it off, cranks. But Dad's sleep shortened, cruiser checks doubling. Jake and I arrived early, hauling projectors, hearts pounding. Hall filled slow. Curious faces, skeptics' arms crossed. Mom's cookies vanishing like bait. Screening hummed. Opening shots of Elmwood spires, my voiceover, first-person raw. The night Dad found the photo, world ended. Then began. Gasps at the siren clip, laughs at Quarry Stones skipped. Dad's assembly footage, unseen angles Jake had captured, drew sniffles. Credits rolled. Silence thick, then claps. Tentative, building to roar. Q&A ignited. Front row, Mrs. Hargrove, retired English, beaming. Inspiring. Then Ellis Proxy, a deacon paunchy pious rising slow. Touching fiction, but scripture's clear. Man with man, abomination. Tom, you've sold your soul for spotlight. Murmurs. My pulse thrummed. Dad stood, mic steady. "John, I read the same book. Loves thy neighbor, too. My soul's fine. It's yours, judging from pews, needs checking." Laughter rippled, defusing venom. But climax coiled. As crowd milled, a scuffle at back, shouts, chairs scraping. We rushed. Deacon and a burly local, faces red, over blasphemy flyers, fists raised. Jake yelled, "Cut!" Director instinct. I wedged between, Dad's hand on my shoulder pulling me back. "Easy, boys. Words, not knuckles." Chief arrived, badges flashing, diffusing. Deacon spat. "This family's poison." But eyes turned on him, not us. Aftermath. Press swarmed. Headlines humane. Harlan legacy. Film shakes small-town souls. Booth reinstated. Committee ousted hardliners. That night, Quarry vigil, stars wheeling. Us four with blankets. "You all right, Pops?" I asked. Dad nodded, fire crackling. Shaken, not stirred. Like that movie you dragged me to. Jake chuckled. Mom leaned on him. Romance whispered later. Jake's arms around me in the tent. Your strength, Dad's echo. Dawn kisses, world reborn. Fall deep in stakes. Dad's retirement loomed, full this time, badge to mantle. Time for you to lead charges, he told me over pork chops. Jake's series Eminod buzzed. We jetted to LA, glitz clashing our grit. Red carpet. Hands held defiant, flashes blinding. Win or not, nom only validation surged. Winter warning. Flu felled Dad, hospital sterile under halogens. We flew frantic, Jake driving through snow squalls. Bedside vigil. Monitors beeping, Mom's hand in his, stories spun to chase fear. Remember Little League? Dad rasped, gripping mine. Your first home run. Shook the fence. Weak laugh. Tears hot. Jake filmed quiet, permission granted for posterity reel. Recovery slow, but spirit unbroken. Discharge day, he saluted the doc. Oh, you, Harlan style. Spring renewal. Dad's farewell patrol. Us riding shotgun, Elmwood scrolling by. Diner stop. Rosa and Lena toasting. Heroes exit. Home. Garden planted. Tomatoes for sauce. Jake's heritage. Wedding anniversary. Intimate. Rooftop Brooklyn. Skyline toasting. 2 years, Jake said, cake fork midway. Shook forever. But conflict crested summer. National tour for the series, screenings in Heartland towns. Q&As electric. Ohio leg. Dayton Hall packed. Post-show confrontation veteran, Dad like mine cornering. My boy's struggling, your film? Made him come out. Now families torn. Guilt stabbed. Jake mediated. Torn heals stronger. We're proof. Hugs traded, but seed of doubt. Are we agitators or allies? Elmwood check-in. Dad thriving in civies, volunteering at youth center. Kids need stories like yours, he said. Brody mentored there, kid brother out and proud. Betrayals flip. Ellis wrote, public apology, therapy forged. Shook me straight. Pun intended. Climax redux. County fair, our booth grand, film loop, merch talks. Storm clouds gathered literal. Thunder rumbled as rivals picketed. Signs crude. No gay agenda. Tension spiked. Yells a shove. Dad stepped forward, voice boom. This land's for all. Pack it in or face the law I left. Backed by chief, crowd parted. Pickets wilted. Rainbow flags waved triumphant. Jake captured the pivot. Post-storm. Arch rebuilt. Fair shining. Dad's arm around me. Your turn to shake, son. Romance sealed it. Jake and I, under Ferris lights, slow danced to Carney tunes. Humanity's messy, he whispered. But ours? Beautiful. In America's pulse, reactions ripple eternal. Deepening the human groove. The first frost etched fragile lace on the nursery windows as I rocked the bundle in my arms. Tiny fingers curling like question marks around my thumb. A miracle borrowed from Jake's cousin's wife. Our practice run for the adoption papers stacking on the kitchen counter. Elmwood had softened into autumn's palette, leaves carpeting the streets in crimson and gold. But the air held a crisp edge, a reminder that winter's bite was never far. Jake hovered nearby, camera slung around his neck, capturing the scene in soft focus. Dad in his armchair, grizzled beard flecked white, cooing at the baby with a gentleness that belied his badge days. Mom bustling with blankets, her hum a lullaby from my childhood. He's got your eyes, Alex? Dad rumbled, voice thick, extending a pinky for the infant's grasp. I swallowed the lump in my throat, Jake's hand finding the small of my back. Steady as always. Ours soon, he murmured, the words a vow renewed. Adoption Odyssey had been our latest shake. Papers filed spring, home studies probing like therapy sessions, social worker eyeing our Brooklyn walk-up. Then this Elmwood fixer-upper we'd bought as a bridge, weekends restoring creeks into character. Stable environment? She'd asked, notepad poised. Jake's laugh. Stable as a film set. Chaotic, but love-built. References poured. Dad's precinct letter effusive. Rosa and Lena's affidavit, poetic. Even Brody's, typed neat. These men shook my world for better. Waitlists loomed, but a match surfaced summer. A boy, 3, Foster shuffle weary, eyes wide with guarded hope. News hit during Dad's birthday barbecue, ribs smoking, neighbors toasting. Caseworkers call. He's yours if you want. Jake hooped, lifting me off the grass. Dad clapped backs, tears unashamed. Grandpa Harlan. Fits like glove. But joy laced conflict. Town whispers revived. Cop's son raising a stray? What's next? Ellis's old flock, quieter now, but petitions circulated anew, protecting children from agendas. We pressed on, court dates and county seat, judge's gavel a heartbeat away, pre-hearing jitters. Jake pacing our Airbnb, scripts abandoned. What if they see us as unfit? I pulled him close. They'll see love. Dad taught us that. Hearing day, wood-paneled room, air stale with precedent. Social worker testified strong. We vowed, voices twinned, home's not place. It's us. Judges nod. Final. Granted. Congratulations, dads. Tears cascaded. Outside, sun broke clouds. Rainbow arc faint but fierce. Naming night. Porch swing creaking, baby, no, our son. Ethan James Rivera Harlan. Middle nod to redemption, not ruin. EJ. Jake tested, cradling him. Dad chuckled. Strong name. Shakes off weak. Mom knitted booties, her nest fuller. Betrayal's final twist came gentle. Winter deepened. EJ's first snow. Bundled in the yard. Mittens flailing at flakes. Mail brought it. A package, no return. Dad's old service revolver. Cleaned. Engraved plaque. To the family that shook me awake. Use wisely or not at all. Love your shadow. Ellis, anonymous donor. Therapy note enclosed. Forgive my storms. Yours lit the way. Jake read aloud, voice cracking. Dad stared, then, bastard, good bastard. We wrote back, care of his parish, thanks, no more. Spring bloomed family. EJ's toddle. First steps across the living room. Jake filming. Me catching. Dad's whoops echoing. Picnics at the quarry. Stones skipped for luck. Mom's garden. EJ knee-deep in dirt. Tiny hands planting seeds. Romance endured. Date nights slipped in. Brooklyn escapes. Hands held in theaters. Whispers of futures. Climax crested county fair. Our annual rite. Booth evolved. Family hub. EJ in highchair mashing peaches. Film looping kid-friendly cuts. Crowds swelled. Diverse now, new families. Queer dads pushing strollers. But old guard lingered. A cluster approached. Led by a mom, eyes hard. This. Influence on our kids. Gesture vague, accusatory. EJ babbled. Waving a rattle. Jake knelt. Offering. Influence? Meet Ethan. Loves trains, hates broccoli. Like yours. Moment hung. She softened. Kneeling too. Rattle traded. He's beautiful. Ripple spread, hugs, stories shared. Dad watched, arm around mom. See? Shakes gentle now. Evening fireworks. EJ on shoulders. Oohs and ahs. Jake's head on mine. Our legacy. Yet humanism's quiet by. Not all mended. Dad's health waned. Prostate shadow scans looming. We rallied. Specialists in the city. Jake's contacts smoothing weights. Hospital waits. Hands clasped. EJ coloring on knees. Fight like always. I told him. Grin weak. Harlan blood. Unbreakable. Summer surgery. Success. Scars badges anew. Recovery ranch style. EJ's songs. Mom's soups. Fall harvest. Dad's strong arming pumpkins. Declaring. Grandpa's throne. Years blurred. EJ's school start. Backpack sagging. Us trailing teary. Jake's Oscar nod. Doka sequel. Shaken roots. Red carpet family affair. EJ tuxedo tiny. Win speech. To the boy under bleachers. The dad on porches. Love shakes worlds. Elmwood evolved. GSA chapters in schools. Pride floats standard. Dad keynotes. Voice seasoned. Difference? America's secret sauce. Our silver, EJ16, spitting image, skateboard scars, film dreams. Corey dates, he grills Jake on edits, me on law. You guys shook everything, he says once, casual profound. We beam, hearts full. Dad's last patrol. Metaphorical, sunset walk with us, cane tapping rhythm. Best plot, he rasps, eyes on horizon. Passing quiet, heart, home, surrounded. Eulogy mine. He shook us into light. Humanist man. Grief carves but grows. EJ's wedding, boy from college. Rings exchanged under oaks. Jake and I, empty nesters. Dance slow, whispers. Shook eternal. In America's vast, flawed heart. One unexpected reaction echoes. Romantic, raw, redemptive. Love's the shake that endures.